Hello everyone and welcome to �𝐻𝐼𝐷 2026 Europe Continental Round Live. My name is Mattia Manfredini. I'm an implantologist. I work and carry out my clinical and research activities at the University of Milan. It is truly meaningful to be here today, not as a participant this time, but as your host. I participate to the 𝐻𝐼𝐷 competition in 2024 with the final that was held in the sparring setting of Cannes. 𝐻𝐼𝐷 represented an important milestone in my professional journey because it helped me to grow as an international speaker, to share my clinical expertise and research with an increasingly broader audiences. Beyond personal achievements, it also helped me to build, and this is very important, long-lasting friendships and professional collaboration around the world, which I think it's really important in order to step outside our comfort zone and to improve together as a global professional community. I still remember how hard and intense it was to prepare for this stage, so to all the participants today, you have already earned our respect. Everyone, please give our contestants a big round of encouragement. For those joining us for the first time, 𝐻𝐼𝐷 is a unique platform for young dentists to share their passion and inspiration. The goal of 𝐻𝐼𝐷 is to discover and cultivate the next leaders in global implant education. Today, each participant will deliver a 15-minute presentation showing implant cases and their clinical approach from diagnosis and planning to execution and follow-up. Presentation will be evaluated based on purpose and clarity, clinical impact and originality, case workup and documentation, ethics, and evidence-based rationale, as well as overall structure, visual quality, communication skills, and audience engagement. Time management will also be part of the evaluation. It is now my honor to introduce our distinguished judges. Please welcome Dr. Dominique Rousson from the Harvard School of Dental Medicine and Professor Christian Macari from St. Joseph University of Beirut. Thank you for joining us today and for proving fair, thoughtful, and professional evaluation. We are also proud to welcome our contestants from 𝐻𝐼𝐷 2026 Europe Continental Round. Dr. Adel Hamdani from France, Dr. Emilio Rodriguez from Spain, Dr. Miguel Murua from Spain, Dr. Sebastian Beisel from Germany. One final highlight before we begin. This is a live global event and an historic moment for 𝐻𝐼𝐷. For the first time in our competition, we are using a real-time AI interpretation system to create a truly global stage, allowing outstanding implant clinicians to be understood beyond language barriers. Simply scan the QR code on your screen, select your preferred language, and enjoy every single moment in real time. If you would like to support your favorite speaker, you can cast your vote during and after the competition on our official website, globalmegamine.com. Welcome once again to 𝐻𝐼𝐷 2026 Europe Continental Round.
To give me the opportunity to talk today and to share a case with all of you. It's also a chance for me to represent France at the Continental Round, so I hope you will enjoy my presentation. Today I will speak about another story. I will talk about another story, not the typical case we see at our implant surgery consultation, but maybe something different, and I hope something you not used to see in your daily practice. And like in all medical stories, it starts with a patient. This patient was sent at my practice by his dentist to do the extraction of tooth 3.6 and tooth 4.6. After 2 endodontic treatments, the patient still have chronic pain on this teeth, and the dentist wasn't able to treat it. So he sent the patient to me to do the extraction. I received this patient, and actually, uh, uh, maybe we could go for a conservative treatment on this case, but in France we have a specialist and we have a general dentist, and in my practice I don't do general dentistry, I do only oral surgery. So when my correspondent, the dentist who send me patients cannot treat the teeth, we are limited to offer solutions for the patient. But actually, after 2 endodontic treatments on this teeth, the last solution would be a retrograde surgical access to treat the teeth. But actually, on this area, it can be a little bit complicated because we have the mandibular nerve, and it not we don't do it very often because of this. So we could go for this patient, we could go for the classical treatment, the treatment we know it's effective, we know it works very well, and we know the steps. The implant solution can do the implant planing. We used to do it. Today with the planing software, we can plane all the surgery in 3D, and also we can choose the implants, propose to the patient to do an immediate implant placement, which lead to do a solution with only one surgery and an atraumatic surgery, most of the time flapless. We know the steps. It's pretty basics. It's a daily routine surgery. We remove the tooth, we place the implants, full guided or freehand, and we can assure the patient with a long-term solution. But today, it's not the story I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about another story, and it will not be an implant story. Because this patient is 17 years old. So we cannot go for an implant. We know it. We do not place implants in teenager because we know that even if we place perfectly the implant, the jaw is still developing. So after 5-10 years, we can result to a fully osseointegrate implant with a very bad positioning. It could lead to removing the implant at the age of 20, 25, and it will just complicate the situation. So I changed the surgical planning and I went for this. Actually, if you don't know yet which solution I'm going for, you could think, okay, no, Dr. Hamdani, you can go for implants. It's not possible. This 3D planing is kind of crazy, and I don't know where you're going. But this is our story, and this is the 3D planing I used to propose the solution to the patient, and this is the 3D planing I use for the surgery. The solution I proposed to my patient was a transplantation. The transplantation is the possibility to do an immediate or delayed autogenous tooth transplantation within the original extraction socket, but also into a different tooth socket. We can also create a new dental socket to place the transplant. And as we can see on the panoramic X-ray, this patient has 2 very healthy and very with an easy access tooth 3.8 and 4.8. So we have donor teeth. Also, he's 17 years old with 2 teeth which has a double endodontic treatment. and we know the long-term prognostic will not be very good, even if we go for a conservative treatment. But you could say, okay, let's do a temporary solution on this teeth, and we can wait maybe 2-3 years and do the extraction of it, and then go for an implant. So the question is it better to go for an implant or for a transplant? Actually, the evidence-based say that we have the same long-term prognostic at 10 years for implants and transplants. So I would say, why would we have to wait if we can propose to our patients a long-term solution? So I keep going on my 3D planning, and it results to the printing of a surgical guide. This surgical guide can look a little bit strange. As we can see, it's a little bit similar to an implant surgical guide, but we have more osteotomy to do because we have to prepare the alveolar bone to our new tooth. This surgical guide have some can be reliable because we don't have a lot of articles about guided surgery in autotransplantation, but what we can find on them is that surgical guide can help to have a more precise bone preparation, which lead to less traumatic surgery and a more precise adaptation of the transplant. Also, it helps us to check if the transplantation is possible, if we will be able to place the transplant in the new site. This is the 3D planning I did, and as we can see, we have something very precise and very similar that in the surgical site when I place these two transplant replica. What is a transplant replica? This is a segmentation of the transplant, what we did in the 3D planning, and we 3D print it to use it in the surgery. So it is kind of a guide in the surgery because we will place it in the socket to check if the transplant will fit also. It will minimize the extra alveolar time, which helps to preserve the periodontal cells, but also it will avoid traumatic manipulation of the transplant. As we can see, it's really similar in the size are pretty close and the morphology too between the replica and the transplant. We place the transplant in the new site, and as we can see, we have a good adaptation based on the 3D planning we did. We will choose to go for a splint to for the stabilization of the transplant, which will lead to avoid the mobility of the transplant during the first month. In some situations, we can choose to go for sutures stabilization when we have a good primary stabilization of the transplant. We will check that we don't have occlusion on the transplant. We will try to have an infra-occlusive positioning of the transplant. This is the view, the vestibular view, and the post-operative panoramic X-ray. As we can see, we choose, we have two transplants with open apex, which will lead to a pulp a pulp healing, and will avoid to go for another endodontic treatment. On an immature tooth, we have the presence of the immature cells at the apex of the tooth, which will lead to revascularization of the pulp. So this is why immature tooth transplantation is a gold standard, in my opinion, for teenagers. As we can see, the bone preparation is really precise, and we don't have a very big gap between the transplant roots and the new socket. We will go for a follow-up at 1 month with very good periodontal cicatrization, and also we will push the follow-up in this patient into 1 year. And as we can see, we have a very healthy periodontal environment, but also we have a good integration of the transplant in the patient mouth. When we check to the panoramic X-ray after 1 year, we have a good bone healing, and also except the roots, which are a little bit less longer than the other teeth, we could not be able to say that we have tooth 3.8 and tooth 4.8 in positioning on the first mandibular molar. An occlusal view, and also when we do the test, we can observe that we have a positive Cold test, so a good pulp healing, a physiological depth probing, and a physiological mobility. What I want to say with this case, with this story, is that we have a lot of tools and equipment with implant surgery, which can help us to propose to our patients other solutions. We have to think outside the box, and we have to propose solutions even to all our patients, however the age they have. So I hope you enjoy this case. I hope you will think twice when we will meet a teenager patient with a missing tooth or a compromised tooth, and we'll think a little bit to this presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
The judges, any comments?
Yes, I have one comment. You mentioned fabricating prototypes based on the anatomy of the tooth that you were going to transplant. Did you actually use the prototype to shape the socket?
So I use the osteotomy guide with an implant drill to do the most part of the preparation. And after that, I use the transparent replica and I place it in the socket. And sometimes we have to adjust a little bit the bone preparation to be sure that the replica fit well inside the new socket. So I use also a round burrs to adjust a little bit here.
Okay. And what is your recommended time between the time of the extraction and the transplantation?
Actually, it's very, the publication are mostly agree. Sometimes, most of the time, it's between 15 minutes and 18 minutes. But inside a conservative liquid like physiological serum, you can keep it like almost 2 hours. So I would say you have to keep the extraoral time under 15 minutes. But if you keep it in a physiological serum, you can keep it more time, can conserve it more.
So I'll have one more question. In case where the apices of the teeth are fully formed,
Mhm.
what would be your protocol as far as the endodontic treatment and timing of it?
It depends of the anatomy of the transplant. If you have a transplant with a difficult endodontic anatomy, we can do the apicoectomy and do a retrograde filling to make the endodontic treatment 1 month after the transplantation easier. If the endodontic anatomy is easy, we can just do the transplantation, and between 2 weeks and 1 month after the transplantation, we can do the endodontic treatment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah. Actually, it's very interesting. Of course, it's outside of the box. We don't expect in 2026 having a lecture about transplantation that we used to do in the 90s before implants were so effective and with such a good prognosis. But so yes, it demands a lot of guts to present this in a megamind concept about implantology. But there is something missing. Is how did you planify with this particular guide preparing the socket to place the implant? You did not show us this, and we did not see how you actually prepared this socket. This part was missing in your lecture.
Also, I can go back to it. I use the software Real Guide, and actually, maybe I didn't present it more, but actually, the placement of the implants are the axis of the bone drilling. So I used Real Guide software, and I placed implants based on the root anatomy to be able to do the preparation based on the transplant position.
Okay, I see.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know it's a technique which used to be performed a lot in the 80s, but actually today with 3D planing and 3D printing, the guided surgery, it's really make it more easiest to standardize the protocol. Thank you.
Totally agree. Of course, we have a lot of new techniques and new technologies that we can use to help us make better old technique that we used to do. Exactly.
Okay.
I want to show you a new approach. During the last 5 years, I've been working with 𝙎𝑘 system, but I've seen that we miss something, especially when we apply the surgeries with combined septum expansion and sinus floor elevation. Everything is freehand, so could be quite difficult for general practitioners or implantologists around the world. So we developed a guide surgery approach, and with the goal to stabilize the osteotomy to combine septum expansion and sinus floor elevation, fixing an implant at the same day of the surgery or delayed, depends on the circumstances, no? But the goal is to reduce or eliminate the freehand approach as soon as possible, because we know that freehand approach is only in a few hands around the world. And the thing is, if we want to show a new technique, the new technique should be for everyone in every single corner of this world. We know that the survival rate of the implants is too high, and it's really good to know that, especially when we work with really good implants. But we have to control three case factors in these kinds of situations. According to Smith and Turner, we have to know properly where are we working with alveolar socket. We know how to approach these kind of extractions following partial extraction therapies by Dr. Blackman, and instrumentation. Bruna Tanello and Dr. 𝙎𝐼𝑔 show us that the instrumentation in these kind of scenarios could be a very important key. So in ideal situations, we're going to try to find a favorable situation. We're going to try to do an atraumatic extraction and, of course, osteodentification. But real life is completely different and not always happen. Sometimes we don't have a really good socket. We have a compromised socket with apical pathology. The sinus is pretty close to us, and it's not very thick. Sometimes it's very thin and very narrow. So it's complicated to make a properly sinus floor elevation and septum expansion at the same time. So we thought a first plan or first approach, doing an atraumatic extraction, guided septum expansion, a guide crystal sinus floor elevation, then introduce the grafting material and the implant placement, and go ahead doing immediately at the same time. But sometimes these kind of protocols not always go well, so we have to think in the plan B. So I thought in the plan B, like, it doesn't matter if we change the order of the approach or the steps during the approach, but we're going to achieve the same result in the same time. So we're going to do an atraumatic extraction, a grafting material, a guide septum expansion, a guide crystal sinus leaf. We prepare this case with the same planning. We don't going to change absolutely everything, and we're going to do that delayed. We make an animation. These two sounds too great. We go with partial extraction therapies following how Dr. Blackman describes. Decapitation, remove the roots, the cyst. We're gonna use our guide according to the large from 𝙎𝑘, fixing and stabilize with the tooth like Jordi Gargallo describes. And then we follow the protocol from 𝐻𝑝 to the septum expansion, introduce the gap, and then sinus floor elevation. Nowadays, we are trying to publish this part of the protocol. I'm working on it. But what happened, and this is important, when you cannot do that? Because sometimes your patient, and this kind of patient is a professional diver, you cannot put in risk his life, especially when he's diving too deep, no? So we see in this situation, we make the extraction, and then we fill the graft because we seen the apical pathology was pretty close and we missed part of the septum. So we said, okay, we're gonna try to be, we don't wanna miss the opportunity, but we're gonna follow this case 12 weeks later. So this was the initial scenario. So once again, what's better, freehand or guide protocol? Guide protocol is the right one to these kind of situations. We designed our guide with our friends from Barcelona, with following the rules from DENSA properly. So we decided to go with guide protocol. And in this case, we have the option for plan E, immediate, or plan B, delayed. It doesn't matter. The result is going to be according to our times in less than 50 weeks. So we make the extraction, we make the preservation, we fill with 𝐎𝐜𝐿 collagen and a few stitches. And this is the first approach. The first day, properly a nice extraction, everything is empty, everything is clean. We fill the graft. So then we went back 12 weeks later. And 12 weeks later, we say, okay, we're going to do a minimal invasive approach. Our patients deserve the best from us. So we went straight, we keep the same planning. We don't change absolutely everything. We go with the same plan. We make a flapless approach. This is the initial situation, and it's still the same planning. We're not going to change everything. We're going to go first step, once again, go for the septum, and then push up the sinus floor. We did. We can see the X-ray. We respect 2 millimeters. According to the implant we're going to fix, I think the length of the implant was 10 millimeters. We introduced our wonderful icon that I really love. It's 𝐻𝐼𝐷 with really high stability and 𝐸𝐜𝐞 value. So we choose the option to introduce a custom healing abutment, anatomic healing abutment. And we went back at the week 22. We remove the healing and we take the 𝐸𝐜𝐞 value. That's the important one. And the value was amazing, was 74 𝐸𝐼𝐷. So we straight go to the digital workflow and we take the impression to order the new crown as soon as possible. So we fix the final restoration at the week 24 with a really nice 𝐸𝐜𝐞 value. We apply a torch of 20 neurons, and following Jonathan Esquivel and Ramon Gomez-Meda that they described to work with the emergence profile with the CVE, we designed our crown. And here is the final restoration. But the most important thing is we followed this case at least for 12 months. This is the follow-up. And you can see what we achieved. A wonderful restoration. We can see the sinus floor elevation. Everything is properly integrated. The initial situation, where we started, where we are right now, how is the behavior of the implant inside? We preserve properly all the bony walls around. And we're going to arrive to the conclusions. And I think is this very important because improves the accuracy of the osteotomy, reduce the operator's dependency, so could be universal. Everyone around the world can do the same technique that we did, and allows a predictable implant placement in maxillary molar size with limited bones and with anatomical risk like sinus floor or pathology. Especially in these cases, we recommend to introduce this technique that never was described before. And we saw the hole in the literature because I've been working with DENSA system for 5 years, and I know no one's described this technique. So we decided to split one side for immediate approach and then for delayed approach in this kind of situations where the clinician have to take the decision in, I'm going to fix the implant and take the risk, or I'm going to wait for a few weeks. We know if we apply the technology from DENSA, we can go back in a few weeks, not too far in time. In those 12 weeks, we can work and manage again this graft and prepared the anatomical and the great conditions to introduce our implant with a great 𝐸𝐷 and 𝐸𝐷𝑄 value that allows to us to reduce the healing time and the treatment time to our patients. And this is my presentation. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you very much to all the patients and the people that vote to me, to the judge, that Dr. Rousseau and Makari, that they are listening to me today, and for you. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Listen to me properly.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. I have a couple of questions for you. First, you after you perform your bone grafting, your alveolar ridge preservation plus the internal sinus lift, why did you decide to place the implant at 3 months and not at 4 months, for instance, or 6 or 5? Do you think that you will have enough maturation of the graft at 12 months to have a proper stabilization of your implants?
We use allograft, and the behavior of the allograft is better than xenograft and alloplastic materials. So we make the compact and expansion of we apply the technology from DENSA and the design of the implant to achieve the primary stability. I have a few cases that we reduce the healing time. I think it's not a problem today if you use the right material.
And you place your when you did your preparation, you went in a specific direction with the surgical guide that you used.
Yes.
Which means that you condensed the bone that was already there, the septum, and then you added the graft. But when you came back 3 months later and you placed your implant, did you use the same surgical guide to go in the same exact direction?
Yes, the same one.
You used the same surgical guide, because this you didn't show us properly in your presentation.
Because in the presentation you see in the animation you see the one from the plane E, but I cannot, according to the rules of the Megamind, I cannot show you the other one because it's under publication right now. It's under review for the magazines. That's because I don't show the plan E. I follow the rules. But both are the same cases because we have at least 15 cases doing that the same, following the same protocol. It doesn't matter the size of the ring, L or XL. We don't change the planning if we go delayed. We follow the same planning. We know we're gonna find. It's gonna be easier.
I see.
That's what we think.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Rodriguez, thank you for this nice case presentation. So the procedure, the protocol you showed is a very elegant way to use the existing bone in a situation where we would need a sinus elevation. But my question is, what made you decide to go into a delayed implant placement, as this protocol will actually help the placement of a mini-idiot implant? What was the reasoning? I mean, to me, the reason of this expansion of the septum at the same time of a sinus floor elevation will be to be able to place the implant the same day.
One of the key factors, I think, is distraction. You have to manage properly distraction, and especially if you have a cyst inside, you have to be careful. But the other thing I think is more important, sometimes we have to remember that we work with people and for people. And in this case, the patient is a professional diver. So he usually works with police and this kind of people diving too deep. So at the same day, I could fix the implant, but at that time, I feel that would be not very safety for him. So that's my decision, like to go delayed. I said, don't worry. I know that we can do that with allograft to go a few weeks later, according to our timing that we designed is less than 50 weeks. So we are going back, and we're gonna do a minimal approach. So you don't gonna have any surprise if you are working far away of Spain or you are diving too deep. But usually, I think if you can do a really good extraction and you remove properly the cyst, you can go ahead.
Now, I don't know how long ago you did this case, but if you use the Megagen system, and today we have the 𝐴𝐷𝐼𝐷 implant available, would you see an advantage to use a tissue level implant for this procedure?
No, I consider that this kind of implants will be a bone level. As far as you are far away of the soft tissues or the surface, you will gonna be always protected. I like to leave my implants at least 1.5 to 2 millimeters deeper into the bone. Maybe, but I didn't have the opportunity to work with 𝐵𝐷𝐼𝐷. I didn't have the opportunity to work with 𝐵𝐷𝐼𝐷. All my experience and all the cases that we did was with 𝐻𝐻. And the results were fantastic.
Thank you very much.
But
welcome.
one of you said that in this particular case, you did not place the implant immediately because the patient was a diver and you don't want to have more risk. But in the 15 case series, you place the implant immediately, or you do it in a two-step procedure?
All of them are immediately. But some of the cases, in 5 cases, we have perforations with the freehand. We did 5 with freehand, 5 guided go immediately, and the other 5 go delayed. This case, the question was that he's a diver, and 5 years ago I made him a sinus floor elevation, and we had a problem with a pin. He was diving and he felt something into the mouth. It was a pin of the fixed membrane. So I say, okay, Abraham, I don't want to have any surprise with you if you are diving. It doesn't matter. In this case, we're gonna do that in 12 weeks. We're gonna go back in 12 weeks. This is a special case because it's a special patient. But all of them, no problems. And the approach is minimal for all of them, especially when we can leave all the cases at the same time, the implant fixes, and we go back 12, 15 weeks. More or less.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
is Miguel Murua from Spain. Thank you so much for your kind invitation. It's an honor for me to be here. And my topic today is going to be, this one is when today's success becomes tomorrow complication, a critical look to full arch treatments. Okay, so the question we have to do is, does it make sense to perform a full X without a fully integrated digital workflow? I think the problem is not about the experience, it's not about the surgical skill, it's not even about the implants. So what is the real problem that we have? So the real big problem is that most of full X complications are not surgical failures. Most of surgical complications are workflow failures. So Marta Revilla is telling us in 2025 that if we use all these digital tools, we are preventing periimplantitis disease. So we need to use all our tools that are in our hand just to perform a really good cases. So what is the recipe? What do we need? We need a really good chef in our office. All of you are chefs in your office, so you need to direct your team. You need to go with a really good planification, because with no planification, we will find every week cases like this with really big failures. But if we use a 3 Michelin star chef, as you are, so with a good planification, we will find that cases are ending like this, are ending predictable with really long-term results and really stable cases in our practice. So what are the 4 bullet points that we need to use in our practical, in our daily practice, okay? So it's the prosto design, the 3D implant position, we need to GVR our cases, and we need really good keratinized tissue surrounding our implants. So with the prosto design, Dr. 𝐤𝐿 told us that the implant prosthodontic design as a predisposing and precipitating factor of peri-implant disease. And if we know this, why not to manufacture our final prosthesis before starting the treatment? Because this is not technician's fault, this is our fault, because there's no planification at all in this case. So we are finding that in our office, a woman comes to us and says, look, this is 1.5 years in my mouth. So she's brushing her prosthesis, but the result is this 1.5 years later, because Schwartz in 2019 is telling us that 77% of prostheses are not properly designed. So we are removing prostheses like this. Yeah, and it's not possible to find something like this. So it's really important to have the prosto design before starting our case. So second step, second bullet point is the 3D implant position is really critical. So that's the reason why we are using guided surgery. So with the 3D implant position, the technician won't send us photos like this, because he's finding things like that. So Dr. Blatch, Dr. Meda, and Dr. 𝙎𝐿𝐻 are talking about the 3D implant position. It's really impacting in the emergence profile design. So if we know this, why don't use the guided surgery just to go with the perfect situation of our implants? Third bullet point is the GVR. We need to get 2 millimeters of bone width towards our implants. It's not always easy, but we can use the GVR to maintain that implants stable for long-term success. So the first step, Dr. Weber from Boston is telling us that we need 2 millimeters surrounding of keratinized tissue surrounding our implants. It's critical factor also in the periimplantitis. So if we know everything about this, and also Dr. Than is telling the relationship between periimplantitis and good keratinized mucosa thickness, so why don't we do this everything before starting? So it's possible. So this is our today's case. It's Cecilia. She's a 60 years old female, former smoker, quit smoking maybe 10 years ago. She's been treated multiple times with restorative procedures without good results. And she is coming to an appointment to our office because she has a fistula on tooth number 12. and she has really significant dental anxiety. So what is the protocol with a patient like this? What do we have to start thinking in our daily practice? So let's go step by step. So what we are doing in our daily practice with a fully digital procedure. So step one, we have to get our photos, intraoral, extraoral photos, the STL files, the DICOMs of the patient. We start with the extraoral photos. We take several extraoral and she's coming due to a fistula. But when we go with the intraoral photos, we can see that she's wearing removable prosthesis, and that's the situation of our patient. You can see the fistula on tooth number 12. And this is a critical situation because she's really a happy patient. This is the overjet photo. It's a really interesting photo. We always go with this photo. And these are the X-ray, the panoramic. So the situation is critical. So she really wants a good solution. So we now need to get intraoral photos just to send to the lab to get the information, because we go from a real situation to a virtual situation with the STL file that we can send to the lab. And we can see several things that are happening in this mouth. She has really a big horizontal defect in the upper right quadrant, also in the upper left. And she has a really big defect on the lower right quadrant. Maybe we can keep some of those teeth, but we send all this information to the lab and they are planifying everything onto position just to perform a really good surgery, a really good prosthesis, a really good 4 bullet points that we have been talking. So this is the design. They send us some videos just to see what we need to do. We need to go with the GBR in the upper right quadrant. We need to go with the GBR in the upper left. We talk to our patient and we say in the lower right quadrant, you have a really big defect. Maybe we can go with a big augmentation bone, but she told us it's not possible. And this is the integration onto patient's face, because we are placing teeth onto patients' faces. So we need to put perfectly that final teeth onto patient's mouth. So they send these videos and they say that the situation in the lower jaw is this. So this is the final design of where our teeth are, need to be placed. So we decide to remove everything. So now it's time for 𝐎𝐼𝐷 We go with the planifications. With the planification, those implants are placed onto that position because there is an STL file. We integrate the mock-up design of the lab, and that's the reason why those implants are placed onto that position. So same in the lower jaw. We need to place those implants onto that position because the final design of our prosthesis is that we use one more implant in the lower right quadrant, maybe because the bone is not as good quality as we thought. And we can go with a report and we can get how much do we need to bar into each implant, what we need to bar to get a good stability of the bone. So second step will be the production, the surgery, and we go with the provisionals. We have to explain our patient. Maybe you are going to wear an FP1 prosthesis, you are going to have a type 2 prosthesis, and we can send to the lab the final implant position before starting with the surgery. These are the surgical stents, and we went with 3 upper surgical guides and 2 lower. And this is the surgery. Surgery is day. We try to be as less invasive as we can, and we go with the immediate printed meal prosthesis, and we design something. We went with something that we call, Dr. Felix Bucheperin and I call SEAL, that is the socket extension alveolar lock, because several times we cannot load those final posterior upper implants, and we need to place them into the bone and wait 2-3 months just to get a good osseointegration of them. But we don't want to lose that soft tissue that we have there. So we send this to the lab. The lab is sending us the print, and we can print this prosthesis onto our clinic. and we go with the immediate load, but we are not loading number 27 and number 17. So this is performed by 𝐎𝐼𝐷, that is Dr. Felix 𝐙𝐼𝐷. So we go with this prosthesis, we place the prosthesis, the immediate load, we do the same in the lower jaw, but we didn't load we didn't go with the immediate loading on number 37. So this is 15 days later. How is the healing of the gum? How is the immediate upper and lower placement? And we went from an initial situation, and with a good planning, we get onto action with a good result for our patients. He's really happy. So it's important that we perform this immediate load, just taking an STL5, but you can see the deviation that you can find that is more or less 2 millimeters just using the STL file. So that's the reason. This is not told by us, it's told by the literature. So the lab is integrating the DICOM files with the STL file, and with the artificial intelligence, with the AI, they are correcting that deviation. So that's the reason we can go with immediate load. So 3 months later, we've got this situation. It's now time to go for those hidden implants. We go with the second provisional. This is the situation with the second provisional. Now we got those implants onto the game. This is the second provisional. This is the situation. And we really got a good result in the lower right quadrant. But I thought maybe we can use a small connective tissue graft, fourth bullet point, and we can graft just a little bit of gum to get an FP1 prosthesis. And we go with the final provisional, and we can do several things with our patient's mouth, because we can change the profile of patient's mouth, and we can get really much better result just modifying the prosthesis, just modifying the tissue, just grafting with tissue. We can do several things. So the situation now is that with just provisionals and with soft tissue gum, we get into FP1 in the lower right quadrant. So now it's time for the final smile. We have the situation. We just changed the number 47 because we thought we had to go tilted, but we could go straight with a multi-unit abutment. So now it's just time for impressions. We send this to the lab, and here we have the final zirconia monolithic prosthesis in the upper, also in the lower. So we study how is going to be the behavior of those prostheses onto patient's mouth, and we do with the finite analysis element. So we need to know how are going to be the forces onto that patient's mouth. So this is the result of the final zirconia monolithic in the upper, in the lower. We start from this, and we went to that, just with a good planification. Good design, good decision of the final prosthesis, of the 3D implant position. Also, we graft the hard tissue and the soft tissues. So it's not just one case. Dr. Felix 𝐙𝐼𝐷 and I have been performing this since 2010, and it's 222 arches, full arches, and we just got 15 fractures. So this is the result, the final result of our patient in the 1-year appointment review. We can see how is the situation of the tissue, the overjet photo, the occlusal, the lower, and this is how we start, and this is how we finish, just using the digital tools. And this is a happy patient nowadays. But just 3 photos with AI, and we get with this video. We work on the case, we design the case, and this is the final situation. So thank you so much for your kind invitation. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
How was the time? Because I didn't have time.
13 seconds. You still had 13 seconds.
Okay, now I can see it. Thank you.
Okay.
So sorry.
So judges, any comments?
Thank you, Dr. Murua, for this wonderful presentation. You making a lot of great points, important points in our implant plannings. I have one question. On the case you presented with the distribution of your implants, would you consider a segmented prosthesis instead of around the house?
Yes, several times we are considering about the idea of with that situation that we go in the 7, 5, 3, and 1, we can split that prosthesis, but we are working with this lab and we are not using T-bases as you saw, but I didn't explain that because I didn't have the time enough to explain that. And we are going with a fully digital case with passivity. It's incredible because we just got 15 breaks, 15 full arches break with 222 cases. Now we are more or less about 300 cases, and we got 17. So with a good learning curve of this protocol, we think it's going to be possible to get no fractures, because I think you're asking me that because maybe you can find with the zirconia fracture, but it's a really low rate of fractures. It's 8.3% of fractures, and all the fractures became when we start the protocol, when Felix and I start the protocol. So we are really feeling comfortable with the full arch because we have really good passivity. But of course, we could use split prosthesis using these different fragments of the implants. That could be possible. But we think the protocol is perfect.
Thank you. Could you describe the type of fractures that you and the timing of the fracture?
Always, and never happen in the multi-unit. Always happen because of operator fault, or maybe we didn't place properly the scan abutment. As you saw, there were a different kind of scan abutments that the lab performed for us, and sometimes you are not placing onto position, and you send that to the lab, or sometimes you remove the provisional prosthesis, and you go just a little bit more torque with your multi-unit, and you're changing just a little bit, just microns, the position of that multi-unit. And that's one of the reasons why we are seeing these fractures. So if you go properly with the protocol, you don't get a fracture. Of course, it's always important to get a good CVCT, a good STL files, a good match of everything. It's really it's complex, but when you start doing it, it's really simple.
And one more clarification: when you take your digital impressions, are those implant or multi-unit abutment level?
No. We took the impression from the multi-unit. We use that scan abutments that are called a tissue shaper, and we go with the impression with the tissue shapers onto the multi-units.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So the result will be announced today. So after all the sessions.
element, empowering healing through biodigital implantology. 2,400 years ago in ancient Sicily, a philosopher named Empedocles first spoke of the four roots of all things. Fire, water, air, and earth. Not just elements, but eternal forces. And 2,000 years later, there was a famous alchemist called Paracelsus. We all know this guy for his famous principle, all things are poisoned, but the dose alone makes the poison. He said that man is made of the four elements, and he heals when they are in harmony. He meant that healing is a symphony of elemental forces. And in implantology, we have our special forces, our own elements, such as bone, titanium, blood, and steel. And today we live in a world where innovation no longer walks, but runs. And for decades in implantology, we have relied on our classical four elements. But what if they are no longer enough? So welcome to the age of biodigital implantology, and welcome to the fifth element, because placing an implant is not just about metal and mechanics. It's about creating conditions for something far, far greater, a new force, a force that's not found in nature, but born of our endless passion, driven by a full modern digital workflow, fused with true and real beauty, creating space for nature to work at its best, and a force that gets all of this united in true and natural beauty. So welcome to that force I call biodigital implantology, a fusion of nature and technology, and a philosophy aimed at being best prepared for whatever may come, to minimize the risk of failure and to move as close as possible to success. Because in my eyes, you cannot find a failure with a slightly better implant or a sole phrase or a connection. You can fight failure with a better system, an operating healing system. But let's start. Let me take you behind the scenes of my daily work. Every patient who is undergoing implant consultation is first digitally captured with photos, intraoral scan, CBCT, and most recently we also incorporated a face scan into our digital workflow. But all of this data is quite useless if you don't put them into a matching or into a planning software. Only here we can design our backward planning to define the perfect implant position after having done a digital wax up. And if we have done all of this, we are quite good prepared. We are quite well prepared, but hand on heart, are we really best prepared? Just look at this professional ski racer here. Do you think that he is racing the course for the first time when he's standing at the starting gate? Never. In his mind, he skied it dozens, maybe hundreds of times. He knows exactly when the snow turns icy, when he has to jump or when he has to hold the line. And this is exactly what I do in biodigital implantology. I know the bone, the nerves, even the soft tissue long before I use my scalpel, and nothing is left for chance. And I'm doing this by digitizing the patient as realistically as possible by creating a digital avatar, where we can visualize and extract every decisive segment. It's a special pre-surgical preparation called deep learning, a practice already used in other fields of surgery to ensure success, as demonstrated, for example, by 𝙎𝐼𝐷 colleagues in 2025. But all of this digital stuff, at the end, we face the problem that there will be a real patient, the great unknown, because we have no idea about his immune system. We have no idea about his ability to regenerate and heal. We have no idea about his vitamin and mineral balance, what is so important for effective healing. And at the end, this patient holds the power to undo everything. Therefore, every single patient receives a pre and a post surgical recommendation of vitamins and minerals, such as vitamin D and K, such as vitamin C, magnesia, calcium, omega-3 fatty acids, and so on, that the body has enough substrate to accomplish what he has now to deal with, to heal quickly and effective. And this preparation is my macrocosmos. But what about our microcosmos? What about the preparation of our wound side, our daily battlefield? And the next slide shows all the magic. Sure, you would say it's sticky bone, right? Yeah, but for me, it is so much more. For me, it is enormous biological potential and enormous biological power. Yeah, this is the point where biodigital becomes bioactive, yeah, and the magic of the sticky bone lies in its high concentration of its growth factors, yeah, and these guys are so important for success in wound healing because we know they play a central role in cell regulation, cell growth, cell migration, yeah, and they play a key role by coordinating the various stages of the healing process. Yeah? And we know traditional healing is a cascade of hope. Yeah? One cascade after the other, and it takes time. But what if we could guide this process? What if we could accelerate this process and make each phase more efficient? Yeah? And you know what? Working with PRF makes it possible. Yeah? With PRF, with the patient's own powerful cells, we can guide all the cascades to the point zero, yeah? And new tissue formation can start after 5 days, not just after 2 weeks. And this is really great. This is awesome. Yeah? And in 2022, 𝐿 and colleagues published a very insightful and a very interesting study that demonstrates all the benefits and the overwhelming impact of PRF and growth factors considering wound healing and bone regeneration, yeah? How they promote and accelerate all these important processes. We need to engineer healing. Yes, to engineer healing by ending up in angiogenesis and in osteoblast. So for me, PRF is not just a tool. For me, it is a real game changer. Yeah? In my eyes, PRF is some kind of an intelligent biomaterial, yeah? Because it empowers us to transform lifeless materials like surfaces, like membranes, like grafts, yeah? into living bioactivated with the patient's own powerful cells. So on the whole, you can say working with PRF means prolonged release of growth factors, reduce pain and reduce swelling, faster wound healing, and faster soft and hard tissue regeneration. And it was proved by 𝐿, as I told you, and proven by hundreds of other high-class quality studies. But let's stop talking about healing. Yeah, let's start showing it. Yeah, by going into the case, we have here Sophia, 40 years young female patient, non-smoker, non-relevant medical history. She got, as I told you, nutritional supplementation like vitamin D and K, magnesium, calcium, omega-3 fatty acids, and so on. And here we have the clinical situation with a 20-year-old clinical insufficient bridge restoration with presenting secondary caries as well as ceramic fractures. But let's go into deep learning. Yeah? This is the patient's avatar you see here with all the important structures segmented and colorized. Yeah? And the greatest advantage is we can simulate the tooth extraction and perfectly see the alveolar bone by digitally removing the whole gingiva. Yeah? And on the other hand, we have a segmented gingiva mask, as you can see here, where we can really evaluate the soft tissue situation without the teeth. Yeah? You see, it is so much more information than just a single CBCT. Yeah? I know perfectly what is under the mucosa without using a scalpel. And as you can imagine, removing the clinical bridge itself was not the big challenge. Yeah? The big challenge was the removal of the remaining carious destroyed root remnants. Yeah? And in such cases, I use the smallest round burr available on the market, and I perform a targeted osteotomy of the dental hard tissue. Yeah? The dental hard tissue rather than the bone. Yeah? And mostly important, without detaching the periosteum at any point of time. Yeah? And as you can see here, the result, yeah, in my eyes, this is the most demanding step when we're talking about immediate implantation, yeah, the truly atraumatic extraction of the teeth, yeah, because after this, yeah, the next step is the phase we have precisely planned and pre-planned in our 𝐴𝐿 software in advance, yeah, defining the ideal 3D position of our implant after having done a digital wax up. Yeah? And this correct 3D position is so important for long-term success in implantology, as demonstrated, for example, by 𝐿𝐿 in 2014 already. Yeah? So, and after following our defined 𝐴𝐷𝐼𝐷 drilling protocol, the next step is the transmission of our pre-planned 3D position. But before we come to the insertion of our implants, we reach a key element of my biodigital workflow, the biologization and bioactivation of our implant surface with liquid PRF. This so-called coating has been proven, especially in the early healing phase, to accelerate implant stability and osseointegration, what is so important for immediate implantation. And now, in former days, they said, okay, let it fill with blood, there will be bone, no problem. But today we know it much better. Today we know that we get no stabilization of our socket, supported by numerous studies, without filling the socket immediately. And therefore, I use my highly bioactivated sticky bone. I call it sticky filling, and I pack it deep into the sockets. And after the sticky filling, there comes another key component of my biodigital workflow into play, the biological sealing of the grafted site. I cover the sticky bone with a layer of a solid PRF membrane. I call it my biocover, and this membrane acts as a natural fibrin barrier, promoting angiogenesis, protecting the graft from microbial invasion, and enhancing the early phase of the soft tissue healing. So, finally, there's another incredibly important point when we are talking preserving natural contours. Today we know that we cannot achieve a stabilization of our soft tissue without supporting the soft tissue by immediately loading it, the so-called socket seal. And therefore, in anterior region, I use a pre-designed and a pre-planned provisional. And in posterior region, we have several possibilities for the socket seal, like a chair-side constructed individual healing abutment, for example, or a pre-designed individual healing abutment by my dental technician. Both great and perfect fitting solutions, but however, one option is very time consuming and the other one is very expensive. Therefore, I often use Megagen's individual anatomical healing abutments. They are perfect fitting, they are fast, and they are economic. And in Germany, we have a saying, for every pot, you will find a matching lid. And finally, the post-surgery X-ray shows all the implants placed as planned. And thanks to our PRF protocol, we have just 1 week later already very nice soft tissue conditions. And above all, the patient had no pain, no swelling, and was highly satisfied. And after just 4 weeks later, we have absolute stable, irritation-free gingival architecture, as well as 4 months later, absolutely no loss of hard and soft tissue. And as you can see here, after 4 months, I believe any prosthodontics and dental technician will appreciate this emergency profile. This is a condition you can truly work with. And with this clinical situation, the patient is handed back to the referring general dentist for further prosthetic rehabilitation. And fortunately, Sophia came back 1 year later for the 1 year follow-up, where we could see really excellent hard and soft tissue conditions, with no atrophy, no undercuts, no plaque triangles that could promote food impaction and peri-implantitis. And after 2 years, we see what super polished zirconia is really capable of. We see an even more pronounced, healthy, marginal gingiva, absolute stable conditions. And this is, for me, really simply stable, natural, beautiful outcome. Engineered by digital precision and biological intelligence. And radiographically, we can also see excellent stability after 2 years, with the clear evidence of a remodeling process. The initial porous sticky bone in the cervical area graduates step by step into dense cortical stable structures, extending directly up to the implant shoulder. Right, I have to come to the end, and after everything I've just shared with you, my only wish is that you leave this lecture with just one single question in mind, just one single question. How would you decide? How would you act if this wouldn't be any patient on the screen? How would you decide if it was you or someone you love? Would you really leave anything for chance? or wouldn't you simulate the surgery by building up a perfect digital avatar? See every risk before it happens. Choose the perfect position for your implant, and then wouldn't you transfer it into reality, fully guided, no compromises? And it was your own body. Wouldn't you strengthen it before the operation? Feed it with what it needs to heal. Wouldn't you use your own growth factors, your own blood, your biology to accelerate healing and reduce pain, reduce swelling? Because at the end, the fifth element is not just technology. At the end, the fifth element is not just biology. At the end, the fifth element is you. So welcome to the fifth element in biodigital implantology, and thank you so much for your valued attention. I'm done.
Recording stopped.
So I have to stop the music. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. Can you hear me?
So wait, I have problems to hear you. I will check the sound. Something is not working. Sorry. Sorry.
You're not hearing us?
But can you hear me?
Yes.
Of course we can.
hear you. Can you hear us?
No. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've got problems with the sound out.
Do you hear us now or no?
Try to.
Yeah, I don't think.
Okay.
We can skip questions in this situation, I suppose.
Sorry.
Can you fix it? Or...
Now I think I got it.
Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry. Now I can hear you. Sorry for this. Yeah.
Oh, finally, good to see you.
It's always the problem with the with the technology. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Sorry. Now I'm here for you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. So our judges, any comments?
Thank you, Dr. Sebastian, for a very enthusiastic lecture.
Thank you.
I appreciate your energy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.
Indeed, it's very important, as you say, to be able to control the digital part and the biological part. My question for you is, do you think that if you didn't use PRF all along, would you have the same result at the end? Is there any evidence that say that by using PRF, you will have better results in cases like yours? Or
yes, I think so. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm doing this since 10 years, and I couldn't imagine working and doing surgery without PRF. Yeah, at the moment, I'm since 1 year, I also use plasma for my surfaces. Yeah, as you are dealing with. And I'm mixing both, so I try to accelerate the things are happening around the implant surface in the bone, and I think this is a very, very exciting and a very important step for success.
So you're plasma treating the implant, and then you're dipping it into the PRF.
Yes, yeah. Before I had the plasma, I just used my PRF. Yeah. And now I'm doing first plasma, and then I use my PRF. Yeah? And then you see it's just with plasma activation, we have a much faster and better surface ability for the PRF. Yeah, it's very, very nice. Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck for your work. You have beautiful work, beautiful pictures, and good luck for this competition.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beisel. This was a wonderful presentation. Along the same line, I mean, you seem to place an accent on the use of PRF. Do you have any comparative studies on your own clinical cases of cases you've done with PRF and without PRF? What makes you decide to use PRF? Is it the fact that you strongly believe it helps the healing, or it facilitates your surgeries?
Well, for me as a surgeon, the only big thing is that I have my sticky bone. Yeah, I have my sticky bone. I can better work with it because it's more plastic. I can put it in the sockets without getting everything out after a blooding or something else. Yeah, this is very, very important. Yeah, and this is the only thing I know with my own hands as a surgeon, but I see the patients, I see the outcomes on the next day, on the 1 week, that I have no big trouble with inflammatory tissue and something. Yeah, they have absolutely, and this is supported by numerous studies, they have less pain, less swelling, and as well as the osseointegration studies show that they are faster and that they are better working with a surface that is with liquid PRF or with plasma treated. Yeah, so I see the patients, I see my tissue on the next day, and it shows that PRF is a big game changer if you compare it without working with PRF in my eyes. Yeah.
Great, thank you, and thank you again. I can see you have a lot of passion in your work. That's great.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a good day.
My name is Emilio 𝐎𝑟𝑔𝑚. I am a periodontist. I'm originally from Mexico City. I finished my residency at Tufts University. I spent about 10 years of my life doing research, intense research, so I spent a lot of time studying that bacteria. And when I finished my program, I got invited to become part of the faculty at Harvard University. Now it's almost 20 years since I've been teaching there. In the early stages of my career, I joined the corporate industry, which is one of the largest DSOs in the United States today. Soon after that, I moved to Denver, Colorado, and that's where I practice today. And I joined a private practice. My time had been divided ever since between the corporate world, the academic world, and the private practice world.
Welcome to the Megamind 2026, Season 4, The Road to Toronto.
Megamind is a very good project, and I'm honored to be invited as part of that team because that gives the clinicians, especially the younger clinicians, the ability to foster an unbiased approach and knowledge, and not to become necessarily attached to a product or a system. And also another thing that I praise a lot for the project of Megamind is that they have paid a special attention to the people that judge are not necessarily affiliated 100% to a company and freely judge the cases that are coming through without that attachment to the industry. What am I looking for in that competitive environment? The most important thing is how were you able to serve your patient in the best possible way? Your train of thought help that person's life and improve that person's life. It's also important to think outside the box. If you are able to deliver the correct treatment to your patient, along with an environment that you were able to come around the problem by the open-mindedness of thinking of a potential solution, that makes the case even more interesting.
I am Professor 𝐴𝐿 I am the Dean of the Faculty of Dentistry, 𝐸𝐿 University, Bangkok, Thailand. My specialty is oral and maxillofacial surgery, and my passion is education, research, and inspiring the next generation of dental leaders. To me, Megamind is not just a competition. It is a place where ideas grow and innovation thrives. I joined because I believe in supporting young professionals who dare to think beyond the usual. When I was a student, we didn't have something like MegaMind. Global platforms were rare, and opportunities to share ideas internationally were limited. That's why I value this so much. It offers the kind of chance I wish I had. For the next generation, MegaMind is a gateway to connect with peers, to learn from mentors, and to share their vision with the world. It is a chance to grow, share, and truly make an impact. The real strength of MegaMind is that it combines competition with collaboration. It's not about the winning. It is about learning, sharing, and building a community of innovators. I am looking for finalists who show skill, creativity, and a sense of responsibility. Ideas that are not only innovative, but also have the power to help people in real life. Believe in your ideas, stay curious, be bold, and remember the ultimate goal is to make a real difference in patient care and in our profession. Unlock your potential, test your mind, MegaMind.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mustafa Jamil. I'm a periodontist. I born in Egypt and I spent my whole life in Cairo, Egypt. My private practice, I have 3 clinics and I'm starting all my way working in Egypt. I started my Faculty of Dentistry studying in 2005 and I finished my PDS on 2010. And I started in 2012 after finishing my residency, going with a master degree program, working with my master degree thesis on the sinus lift, trying to dig into the field of sinus lifting, how to do the sinus lift, the open and closed approach. Starting my day early morning at 6 a.m. to have a chance to meet my kids before going to school and taking them to the bus where they go to the school. Then starting my day with a fresh shower and go to mosque to have my prayer, and then I read part of the Quran. Then I take my car and go to the gym. In the gym, as you know, our profession is very, very tough with a lot of stress, so we need to relieve this stress with the gym. After the gym, we have to go to the pool to relieve with the cold. Then I'm ready and fresh to start my clinical day and see my patients. While I'm in the car, I'm starting talking to my receptionist and check do the patients are ready or not, to talk with my team to prepare everything for our day. As you know, the dentist is like a family member. We are trying to build a good relationship with our patients. It's not about money, it's all about reputation, about delivering the best for your patient. Especially when we are talking about implantology, it's not a hit and run. Most of our cases may take 1 or 2 years to finish, from augmentation, soft tissue and hard tissue, temporization, scans. It's a lot of work. So if you don't have the ideal relationship, a clear relationship between you and your patient, you will suffer a lot and the stress will be much more. After that, it's very important to communicate with your team members. To improve the quality, it's not about you, it's about how you're gonna deliver, what your goals as an institution, what the goal of this, how to prepare our patients, how to prepare our schedule, how to make everything comfortable the best way for our patient. Apart from the clinical work, I'm dedicating a very large part from my life for education. We are working with the advanced implant program. We have a lot of young dentists who are aiming to learn implantology from basic to advanced. Regarding MegaMind, from where did I know about MegaMind? For me, it's a brilliant idea. So you are connecting young implantologists to share their own cases together. It's not only about selling implants, it's about improving the quality of not only dentists but also speakers. So Megamind, they are creating a future speakers. So the idea was brilliant. Why did I apply for Megamind? I found that it's a great opportunity to network with doctors from all over the world to have a better exposure for new techniques and new doctors, how they are delivering and how they are treating their patient, to learn from each other and sharing knowledge together. Regarding Megamind 2026 taking place in Toronto, Canada, for me, I never visit Canada, so it's a good reason to attend there. But also it's a very prestigious event to share among all these world-class speakers. I would love to share them, and I would, of course, I'm looking forward to be the winner. It's not easy, of course, but I will do my best.
안녕하세요, 김정주입니다. 저는 치주과 전문의로서 환자들의 잇몸, 구강위생, 임플란트 등 환자들의 연조직과 경조직에 관련된 치과 진료를 전문적으로 하는 치과 의사입니다. 레지던트 3년차 때 참석했던 유럽 오스티올로지 학회에서 수상은 제게 특별한 순간이었습니다. 케이스를 나누고 교류했던 그 시간들은 너무 즐거우면서도 많이 배울 수 있었고, 그 순간부터 글로벌 스피커라는 꿈이 제 안에서 조금씩 자라나기 시작했던 것 같습니다. 이런 경험들을 바탕으로 학문적인 기회도 운 좋게 이어졌고, 제1저자로 총 6편의 논문을 게재하면서 가장 좋은 진료는 무엇인가에 대해서 꾸준히 고민하고 공부할 수 있었습니다. 군의관 시절에는 보철 분야의 필요성을 느끼고 고여준 원장님의 세미나를 들으면서 많은 부분을 배울 수 있었고, 그 인연이 개원까지 이어져서 지금도 함께 진료하며 많이 배우면서 큰 감사함을 제가 느끼고 있습니다. 임상 관련 서적도 2권 출간할 수 있었습니다. 더 좋은 부모가 되기 위해, 더 좋은 남편이 되기 위해 끊임없이 노력하는 삶을 살자, 이런 마음이 저희 가장 큰 원동력이자 삶의 중심입니다. 2024년 1년은 메가마인드가 제 임상의 중심축이자 제 삶이었던 해였던 것 같습니다. 처음에는 그저 가벼운 마음으로 시작을 했는데, 그렇게 준비해서 출전한 컨티넨탈 리그에서는 다른 참가자분들의 뛰어난 임상들 덕분에 어느 세미나보다도 좋은 케이스와 깊은 인사이트를 잘 볼 수 있었습니다. 그리고 이제 마침내 마지막에 파이널 리그에 참가했을 때 마음속에 꿈꿔왔던 글로벌 스피커로서의 나를 다시 떠올릴 수 있었습니다.
모든 면에 있어서 항상 고민하고 고뇌하고 최선을 다해서 진행하는 모습이 감동적이었고, 이 좋은 기회를 통해서 우수한 성적을 거둬서 앞으로 전 세계의 최고의 임상가가 될 수 있기를 기원합니다.
세계를 무대로 다른 나라 치과 의사들과 임상을 공유하며 평생 더 나은 진료가 무엇인지 고민하며 살아가는 것이 저의 바람입니다. Unlock your potential. Test your mind, Megamind.
Hi, my name is 𝐎𝐿𝐼𝐷. I'm board certified oral surgeon and implantologist, and one of the finalists of Megamind 2024. I come from Slovakia, a beautiful country in the heart of Europe, known for stunning nature, national parks and mountains. I studied dentistry here and I graduated in 2014. Later, I completed my postgraduate studies in Austria, earning my master's degree in oral surgery and implantology in 2023. Today, I'm that of 2 beautiful girls and husband of my amazing wife. I love many sports, but what I love the most is spending time in nature. Forests every season. That's where I recharge. But Before all that, when I had to decide what to do with my life, there was this popular TV show about emergency doctors. So I thought, yeah, I want to be one of them. But how did I end up becoming a dentist? Well, accidentally. I got accepted to both dentistry and general medicine. And on the first day of university, I joined the wrong registration line. I decided to give it a try. And surprisingly, I fell in love with it. I loved the all manual skills and the all hands-on work. After graduation, I started as a general dentist in private clinic searching for my path. And I realized surgery is where I belong. Later, my wife, who's also a dentist, and I opened our own clinic. That allowed me to fully focus on implantology. For me, smile is a mirror of the soul, and implantology is the art of restoring that reflection. Bringing back joy and confidence to our patients. That's what really matters.
Announcements, people know about it, and then I'll give it the time.
I'm talking today in my name, but also on behalf of Professor Rousson, who was co-judging this competition with me. I think it was a great moment to follow these 4 presentations. The 4 presentations were really excellent. We had excellent material, excellent content, high quality lectures, and I'm sure that it was very difficult for us as judges to set the difference between contestants. The judging criteria was very objective. We had 10 criteria that were judged in a different way. This is how we could give each participant as much objectivity in our decision as possible. And before getting the final result, I want to congratulate the 4 participants for getting as far as this step of the competition. And I will be glad once I get from the MegaMind headquarters the result to announce them to you. So do we have any results? So the first winning contestant is Dr. Adel Hamdani. The second winning contestant is Dr. Miguel Murua, and the third winning contestant is Dr. Sebastian Beisel. It's not in order of grading, it's just the order of appearance, I suppose. So congratulations for the 3 contestants, and we'll be very excited to see you all in Toronto for the final round and attending next week. Dr. Rodriguez, I'm sure that you have beautiful material, and maybe in a second MegaMind edition, I'm sure that you will be able to impose yourself in this competition again. So thank you, MegaMind. Thank you, Professor Rousson, for being with us. Thank you for all the contestants and for the audience who followed us today.
This brings us to the conclusion of the Continental rounds. The MegaMind final round will take place on 18 June in Toronto. If you are unable to attend in person, the final round will also be broadcast live and will feature real-time AI translation. We hope many of you will join us online for this exciting final stage. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to thank our judges, our contestants, and all of you who join us today for being part of this event. See you in Toronto. Unlock your potential, test your mind. We are MegaMind.